Globally, labour disputes and industrial cases are a recurring phenomena every government and institutions contend with every day. Given the dynamics of employment interrelationship and the challenges of society, the need to establish a specialised court to tackle disputes related with labour and industrial relations is very vital because of the obvious fact that regular courts are already saddled with enormous responsibilities and therefore should be spared the additional duties of handling labour and industrial cases. It is in this light that industrial courts are established by most countries. In Nigeria, the court saddled with the responsibility of handling labour-related issues and disputes is the National Industrial Court of Nigeria, NICN. The National Industrial Court of Nigeria was established in 1976 by the then military government through the Trade Disputes Decree No. 7 with a mandate to adjudicate trade disputes, labour practices, matters related to factories and all other employment matters in Nigeria. Following the demise of the second president of the NICN, Honourable Justice M.A. Borishade, in 2002, a vacuum was created in the leadership of the court. A list of 19 candidates was shortlisted to fill the vacant position after the post had been declared vacant by the then federal government. Of this number, a certain judge from the Ondo State Judiciary, who had been encouraged by his friends to apply for the position, was number 11 on the list and did not consider his chances of securing the job very bright. Even then, he was not very enthusiastic about the position, but as he would discover later, he was regarded as the best candidate among the lot by the powers that be, giving his integrity, uprightness, and dedication to duty. That man, His Lordship, Honourable Justice Babatunde ADEJUMO.
We had, if I remember, and then a short list was to be compiled, whether by the NJC, I'm not sure now, or Federal Judicial Service Commission, and then forwarded to the President, who would then, out of the list, confirm which one is to become, or was to become, the President of the court. And as required by the law, I forwarded the names to the President, who was then President Olusegun Obasanjo, with my own recommendation. And based on that, he chose Honorable Justice ADEJUMO to be the President of the court.
Justice Babatunde ADEJUMO's lack of enthusiasm for the NICN position arose from the fact that he was enjoying a promising career at the Ondo State Judiciary as a judge and had all the possibility of becoming the Chief Judge of Ondo State or be elevated as a judge at the Court of Appeal. But fate and providence had other plans for him. Now, to buttress his lack of interest in the leadership of the NICN, an encounter he had with the then Chief Justice of Nigeria, Honourable Justice Muhammad Uwais, gave enough reason to further dampen his lack of commitment. At that meeting, Justice Uwais was said to have frankly advised him not to consider going to the National Industrial Court, as it was regarded as a dead end and would not enhance his promising career in the judiciary.
Justice Uwais told me that I shouldn't go. It's a dead end. And I said it's a dead end. So it's hopeless for me to go there. That he is of the view that I should wait till 2004. That was in 2003. And I should wait till 2004 so that probably I will go to Court of Appeal and eventually end up at the Supreme Court. I thanked him that, sir, you are talking to me as a father. I agree. Words of elders are words of you. Yes, sir, don't you think somebody may make that dead end a living end?
Honourable Justice ADEJUMO showed interest in being a member of that court as president. And people were thinking it was going to be like the administrative panel that they used to have, so that if you get to for judges, there is no any other court to aspire to, like Court of Appeal and so on, because it was regarded just as a specialized court. And so I believe that's one of the reasons why people refer to the position of the president of the court as dead end, because they can't move from there. They think from there to the higher courts, that is the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court.
But that advice, rather than dissuade him from considering taking up the offer if he got the job, did the contrary. It further emboldened him to take up the challenge of the office, even in the face of looming failure. And so, on the 14th of April 2003, his appointment as president of the National Industrial Court of Nigeria was announced by the federal government, and on the 5th of May 2003, he was sworn in as the third president of the court.
I, Babatunde ADEJUMO, do solemnly swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and that I will preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So help me God.
One day, the CBN called me that, congratulations. I said, sir, what is the issue? He said, my lord, the president has appointed you as the president of the National Industrial Court. If you are accepting, come and swear in, so I can discuss. If you are not accepting, decline. I came and accepted, and he fixed it. I was appointed on the 14th day of April 2003. I was sworn in on 5th day of May.
He didn't take the job of National Industrial Court for any personal benefit. He took it because it was a challenge. And he saw the need for the National Industrial Court to play a role in the affairs of the country, to ensure that industrial peace and harmony exist at all times.
Thus began a journey that would span close to 2 decades, a journey that would be filled with several unseemingly tough obstacles, but which would ultimately witness a major transformation in the affairs of the National Industrial Court of Nigeria, culminating in its attainment as a court of superior records. When Justice Babatunde ADEJUMO resumed office at the then headquarters of the NIC at this location on Oju Olobu Close, Victoria Island, Lagos, little did he know what was awaiting him. He was shocked with the condition he met. The office was anything but befitting of the headquarters of an industrial court. It was a twin duplex building that was always submerged in water whenever it rained. Lawyers were always reluctant to come to the court to prosecute their cases. His official residence was also not spared the same deplorable situation. Staff strength and the right caliber of personnel needed to run an institution like the industrial court was also a major issue. Majority of the personnel were non-professionals and thus lacked the basic legal skills. What's more, everybody was crammed in the twin duplex office.
The wine in Jolomo then 2022, that was where we were, to a twin duplex. And whenever it rained, at the end of the work for the day, for you to come out from your car, you must put block by your car so that you can step on it. That was the situation.
I happened to follow him to Lagos when he wanted to resume at the office at Lagos. I could remember clearly then that when we were entering the office, it was like a swimming pool. We had to roll our trousers. Then, those of us that cannot afford to lose our shoes to water, we have to remove them and tactfully enter that office.
In fact, not just rains. We used to have this water surge from the sea, and we overflow everywhere, including our courtrooms. We have just one courtroom there. If water overflows, to come to everywhere. All Ojolobo close, and sometimes when a branch to the building, the courtroom will be full of water. So the place was so choked up, to the extent that in some cases we don't have enough seats to sit. That two people might manage on a seat, and the kind of table we have then, we have to arrange it so that all of us can make use of the table.
It wasn't a court that any lawyer wanted to go to.
Funding was also a major issue bedeviling the operations of the NIC during this period. With a resolute determination to turn things around quickly and not sit around brooding over the negative situations around him, Honorable Justice Babatunde Adejumo swung into action. First was to relocate the court from its deplorable location to a more conducive and befitting place, and second was to find a way to improve on its funding from the government. He pulled the right strings and got the attention of the then president, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, who invited him for a meeting.
When we went to visit the president then, Olusegun Obasanjo, people thought I should ask for cars, houses, money. I told them that the man will send us back. He will send us back because he believed that every Nigerian who comes for such a thing, he was looking for money. And when we got there, he said, yes, President, and I said, what do you have for us? The ministers were there. He said, sir, thank you for appointing me. But NIC was your baby. You gave back to it in 1976, and he started working in 1978. He's 25 years old today. As we speak, it cannot walk, it's still crawling. Talk less of running and bringing laurel. He said, I said, why? No houses to walk, water is troubling us. I just told him everything. I continue to say, stop. I know the place, it's my friend. Engineer, look at this place, I do go there. You are saying the truth. And this is the first time that any delegation will visit him, either as a military head of state or as a civilian president, that they will not be saying no money, no car, no house, salary. But I've come to tell him why the place is not functioning well. That for that I've won his heart. That whatever I want to make the court my dream, he approved. And he called lead ADEJUMO, the Minister of National Planning, to put National Industrial in the 3-year rolling plan. He called the Attorney General of the Federation, Chief Keolujimi, to join hands with me to come out with a law and an enabling act for the National Industrial Court. He called Yaya Ahmed, the head of service, to join hands with the Minister of Housing, Mama Shomo, to relocate us from Victoria Island to the government building in Ikoyi. And a day, it rained heavily. The whole court flooded. My house in Ikoyi was flooded. You couldn't say it was the best were floating. I managed and I rode. I came in the night, in the morning, I got to Abuja very early, and I met Yaya Ahmed. This is the situation. Now I should go to number 31, Lugard Street in Ikoyi, and take over the place. I took over the place. From my Abuja, I just reported there, and I called them. I've relocated my situation there, the situation office to 31. Before midnight, the signboard was erected, and I started. That was how we started that place.
Having overcome the problem of securing a befitting office accommodation for the NIC and improving on its funding by the government, Justice Adejumo was soon confronted with more challenges. He met yet again another dead end. This time around, the issue centered on the jurisdiction of the NICN itself. For 25 years since the inception of the NICN in 1976, the court had remained practically moribund. It was clearly unknown by Nigerians, and its decisions and pronouncements hardly respected. To his bewilderment, he discovered that the law establishing the NICN was just an omnibus law. So its operations was limited and its judgments barely respected. Something had to be done to change the situation if the court was to play its critical role in the society. Justice Adejumo did not allow this shortcoming deter him. After all, he had already been warned about the situation at the NICN, and there was no going back. He was therefore resolute in his determination to change the situation for the better.
I was cautioned from day one, and I'm going into a dead end. And I was stubborn not to have taken to that advice.
As a matter of fact, the court was not even really respected, in the real sense of it, because at that time, the court had no constitutional status. The court was simply an establishment of an act called Trade Disputes Act. Cases then went to National Industrial Court either by a referral from the Honorable Minister of Labour or by exercising a right of appeal from the Industrial Arbitration Panel.
You hardly see the judgments, you hardly have any effects. They are not respected by the sector for which they were established, which is the industrial relations sector, the labor sector.
Because the tribunal was merely charged with the duties of resolving issues or disputes between employers and employees on the one hand, and between trade unions and the government, as at that time. It has no power to record these proceedings.
When Justice ADEJUMO was appointed as president of the court, he had to travel to other parts of the world, to Italy, to South Africa, to the UK, to see what they had on ground, how they administered their own industrial disputes and courts.
He soon set to work, and his hard work paid off in 2006 when the National Assembly passed the National Industrial Court Act 2006, strengthening the rules of the court and its ability to enforce judgment. The Act also repealed parts of Decree No. 7 of 1976 and reduced some of the jurisdictions of the High Courts that was shared with the NICN. That marked a turning point in the history of the court and its ability to enforce its judgments, for in effect, the 2006 NIC Act sought to make the National Industrial Court of Nigeria a court of superior records. But no sooner was the National Industrial Court Act 2006 passed than it began to generate controversies among legal minds and constitutional lawyers, and the argument among the jurists was that a mere act of the National Assembly was not enough provision to confer the status of Court of Superior Records on the NICN. Something much more fundamental needed to be done to achieve this status. The controversy generated by the NIC Act 2006 came to a head during a ruling by the Supreme Court of Nigeria over a case involving the Bureau for Public Enterprises (BPE) and the National Union of Electricity Employees, in which the Apex Court ruled against the National Industrial Court of Nigeria as a superior court of record, but subordinate to the High Courts, notwithstanding the provisions of the 2006 NIC Act.
The argument was that, look, you cannot create a court of superior record outside the Constitution.
A mere act of National Assembly was not enough to address the missing link, which is that the court is not among those mentioned in the Constitution and embedded there, provided for as a superior court of record.
If you look at the hierarchy of laws, the Constitution is the ground norm. It is the father of all other laws, as it were.
In the Trade Disputes Act, the amendments, the court was, in a way, at least from the amendment to the Act, giving the status of a superior court of record. But because it was not listed as one under Section 6 of the Constitution, it was not taken as such.
The Supreme Court ruling was a big blow and a major setback for Justice ADEJUMO and the NICN, and it appeared that the desire to make the Industrial Court a superior court of records had finally been buried. or so it seemed. After all, the Supreme Court had spoken and its decisions on judicial matters was final. But like the cat with 9 lives, there was still a way out of the crisis. The apex court in its wisdom during its judgment had also preferred a solution to how the NICN could get out of the quagmire and attain the status of a superior court of records. An amendment of the 1999 Constitution of Nigeria through the National Assembly. This solution seemed impossible because of the arduous procedure it would require to amend the constitution of the country. But Justice ADEJUMO and his team were determined to make this route, no matter what it would cost, and they soon set to work. Thus began a tortuous journey. Through a memo raised to the Chief Justice of Nigeria, the President of the Senate, as well as the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and hearings in the National Assembly, as well as the 36 state houses of assembly, the amendment of the 1999 Constitution was kick-started. On the 4th of March 2010, victory was finally achieved when the National Assembly passed the third alteration of the 1999 Constitution, thus finally making the National Industrial Court of Nigeria a superior court of records with its own powers and jurisdiction. It was victory at last. Finally, NICN could now take its pride of place in Nigeria's judicial landscape.
So today, the court is a superior court of record, and it's number 4 on the hierarchy of courts in Nigeria.
And so it became a constitutional court in the sense like any other court. It became a court of records.
It's not an easy thing to achieve an amendment to the constitution in Nigeria. It's not a tea party at all. So for my Lord to be able to take that initiative, along with his fellow judges of the court and their staff, and see the process through to achieve that alteration within a record time. Within a record time, if you will, for a number of us practitioners, honestly, the achievement cannot but be commendable.
A single individual in Nigeria has managed to leverage on his relationship with so many agents of government and got the constitution. In fact, you should call the third edition in Nigeria as ADEJUMO constitutional amendment, if you want to be fair to him. In America, there are amendments to the American Constitution that they name them after those who were the facilitators. The third alteration to the Nigerian Constitution should be called ADEJUMO Amendment, because he put in everything he had to achieve that.
And that tells you something. What it says is that Nigerians indeed had long wanted a court that is exclusively dedicated to determination of matters relating to workplace, employment, trade dispute, trade unions, and industrial relations. And immediately, the constitution was amended via the third alteration that now recognized NIC as a superior court of record. The court now stand shoulder high among its peers in hierarchy of superior courts of records in Nigeria.
As mentioned earlier, staff strength at the NICN when Justice Babatunde ADEJUMO assumed office as president of the court was abysmally low, a mere 123, and majority of who were non-professionals and not conversant with industrial laws. But over the years, personnel of the court has increased in geometric proportions, and today the NICN is endowed with sufficient manpower and professionals capable of manning their various professions and disciplines. What's more, training of personnel is accorded top priority. Over time, many of the NICN staff have received relevant trainings, both at home and abroad, to hone their skills.
When I started, I met 121 or 123 staff on ground above. There were 5 graduates among them. Today, we are 2,500 or 2,600. And among them, we have about 600 graduates. Concerning development, I believe in training and retraining. I've sent more than 600 people abroad to learn one thing or the other. When I came, the highest officer apart from the CR was on level 13. That was the highest, that was the only one. And today we have this chief registrar who is the permanent secretary trade, we have directors, and we have deputy directors and assistant directors, and we have we have about 100 and something lawyers serving in this court today because we need to utilize their services.
When my lord came, he called everybody and said, please, I want everybody to go back to school. So many people went back to school. Since then, we have lawyers, we have accountants, trained ones, and we have administrators. So then, and to the glory of God, I was opportune to be one of those that was trained overseas. Yes. And virtually all the staff my lord met in National Industrial Court were trained overseas.
Back in 2003, the National Industrial Court of Nigeria had only 3 members who presided over judicial cases. Even then, these members were not addressed as judges, but by their titles or ordinary members. Only the head was addressed by title of judge. Today, that situation has changed as the scope has been expanded and more judges have been appointed to make the court more effective. From a mere single judge back in 2003, the NICN has witnessed the appointment of 38 additional judges and is in the process of appointing 20 additional ones to enable it meet with the challenges of the ever-increasing number of cases.
Got appointment of several judges, maybe right now I think they're up to 30. Before there was only one appointment to that court, and only one presiding judge, and a panel of a few side shows I can say because they are just on the panel, you know.
It's good that the court is expanding. It's good that more judges have been appointed. In fact, it has implications for the health of our economy and for the security of lives and property. Sometimes we may look at it and say, okay, it's job for people. But I think it's more than that. It has security implications, and it has serious economic implications. So it's good that the court is expanding.
As the justice of the National Industrial Court today, I want to believe, will not have been less than 30, to say the least.
It was during the tenure of my lord that non-lawyers stopped coming to become judges of National Industrial Court. Before, the court was comprised of people who are not lawyers, trade unionists, people who are knowledgeable in trade and commerce, sitting down with lawyers. But now, in fact, since like over 12 years or thereabout now, during his tenure, and due to the reform in the institutional structure of the court, is only a lawyer of minimum of 10 years post-court, including verifiable experience in labor and employment law and industrial relations, that can be a judge of that court.
Also from a mere 2 divisions in 2003, one in Lagos and the other in Abuja, the reach of the NICN has been replicated in other parts of the Federation with a total of 26 judicial divisions spread across the country and counting. Plans are in place to open up more divisions in those states of the country without the presence of the court. The increase in the number of divisions has not only brought the court closer to the people, but has also built confidence in the justice system in Nigeria.
He met a one-structure court with an outlet in Abuja, so to speak. But he's been able to expand his court into divisions across the country. That says a good deal about the kind of person he is.
The court is supposed to show presence in all the 36 states of the Federation. But I think they have done, the last time, up to 20-something divisions were functioning. So he has done very well.
Now this court's all over the country. And so that achievement, this, I could dare say, monumental achievement over this period by the President Tunde ADEJUMO, president of that court, has shown his strength of character, his sagacity.
If he had his way, Justice ADEJUMO would want there to be NIC presence in practically every senatorial district. If he had his way, knowing the way he thinks, he's a man that enjoys giving service. By making courts accessible to various states and litigants within their states, you cannot quantify that just in monetary terms. It builds confidence in the justice system. Imagine somebody having to travel, an employee who is terminated, who has to probably come, I used to be the case from Ilorin, to come and litigate his case in Abuja, or from Ibadan, come and litigate his case in Lagos. He has already lost his employment. He's still struggling for his entitlement. Then look at the cost to him. These are part of the things that His Lordship has managed to address effectively by replicating the court in various states and making them accessible.
For those of us who are privileged to work closely with His Lordship, the legacies are huge. You know, for industrial court, like I said, no one in the last 15, in the last 19 years ago would have thought that the National Industrial Court would be what it is today. The footprints of His Lordship are all over the countries. We are talking about, you know, a man who met the court when it was having just 2 judicial divisions, to now a court with 28 judicial divisions, you know, across the country.
Furthermore, to meet the yearnings of Nigerians, to get the court nearer to them in states where there are no divisions, registries where cases can be filed for onward transmission to the nearest division of litigants have been opened.
Registries are where you can go and file papers, but no judge will sit down there and hear matters. So instead, you file, and this promotes proximity to litigants and lawyers. So you can go and file in a capital city where the court has no judicial division. You file all your papers. They will not carry all the papers to the nearest division where the cases will be. So without reform, the infrastructural development and the institutional development, including capacity development that happened in NIC during my last tenure, is indeed phenomenal.
This magnificent edifice, located in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, is yet another eloquent testimony of the Justice ADEJUMO years at the NICN. Although still under construction and built for completion anytime soon, this edifice will serve as the headquarters of the National Industrial Court of Nigeria when fully completed. This is a far departure from the structure inherited by Justice ADEJUMO in Lagos as headquarters when he assumed office as president of the NICN back in 2003.
This place was started a couple of years ago. I've not been able to complete, but we have been able to complete the B plan and the B part of the project. It's a complex.
Staff of the institution now work under very conducive environment. The improvement in structure is not limited to Abuja alone. The ADEJUMO years has witnessed more judicial complexes built across the country to further enhance judicial development by the NICN. The court complexes meet international standards in terms of infrastructure and facilities and are aesthetically attractive. The courtrooms across the nation now look truly magnificent and the pride of many judicial officers who prosecute cases at these courts.
In an improved atmosphere for justice delivery, like you see in the courtrooms at the industrial court, of course, people will be happy to come and take their cases and engage in their practice, and the judges will be more relaxed to do their job. So I think it's something that is highly commendable.
When you look at the court infrastructure, the ambience of the court, except perhaps for recent renovations in Supreme Court and Court of Appeal, I don't, in my limited practice spectrum, don't recall any court in Nigeria that has the facilities and infrastructure that Justice ADEJUMO ensures all his courts, whether in the Lagos one or any other state, the standard is the same. Even the comfort of lawyers, the gallery, the way they are designed, he always calls on the best to give him ideas.
The comfort of its personnel is not limited to the office environment alone. Accommodation for its judges is also accorded top priority. When Justice ADEJUMO assumed leadership of the NICN, accommodation for its personnel was almost non-existent. The only person that enjoyed this privilege was Justice ADEJUMO himself. Even then, his official residence was a sorry sight to behold whenever it rained, just like the office on Victoria Island. But all that have been confined to the dustbins of history, as the NICN, under the ADEJUMO years, has witnessed a revolution in staff accommodation. Over 40 houses have been built by the NICN, and all its judges reside in very conducive accommodations owned and leased by the court. From an insignificant status in 2003 to great heights, there is no doubt that within 17 years of service at the NICN, His Lordship, Honourable Justice Babatunde Adeniro ADEJUMO, has brought his Midas touch to this institution that was once regarded as a dead end and has seen it rise from obscurity to global limelight. The National Industrial Court of Nigeria has indeed witnessed unbelievable transformation through a combination of dynamic vision, hard work, forthrightness and integrity of this erudite justice. It is no wonder that Justice ADEJUMO has received several awards and commendations from within and without for his outstanding achievements. These awards are too numerous to mention in this video documentary, but suffice us to say a few. In 2008, then President Umar Musa Yar'Adua conferred the National Honor of Officer of the Federal Republic (OFR) on Justice ADEJUMO for his dedication and selfless service to the nation. Some of the awards conferred on Justice ADEJUMO over the years include Honorary Award of Commendation 2007, All Nigerian Judges Conference by the National Judicial Institute. The Ondo State Man of the Year Award 2009 for exemplary leadership and service to humanity. Justice ADEJUMO is a fellow of the Institute of Strategic Management of Nigeria, FISMN, and also a member of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, Nigeria and the UK.
He has done very well indeed. He started from scratch. There was nothing on the ground. It was all his effort. Whatever you see in the industrial court today, whatever works in the industrial court today, all that has been due to the efforts put in by Honorable Justice ADEJUMO.
I'm not surprised at all that he has been very successful in building that court, which is very, very large now. It's more than 500%. What he has done, the record, we praise him forever.
It is rare, and you can check the records, that a single judge in Nigeria has done so much as to revolutionize a court. One person, one judge. I think you have to dig very deep before you can see that. Not only Nigeria, indeed any part of the world. So I think it's an achievement for this court, raising it from an irrelevant entity to a court of serious respect and recognition. And not only in Nigeria, but all over the world.
He is an administrator for excellence. If you look at the history of National Industrial Court, there is no way a history of National Industrial Court will be written without mention of Justice ADEJUMO, because he has written his names in gold. And the work he has done in the National Industrial Court, I have never seen any head of court that has done it.
I had followed his progress all the time, And I had watched several industrial cases which he had handled with all humility and honesty, and therefore it's no surprising that he has gotten to this stage.
Just ADEJUMO can say without any fear of a contradiction that he ranks with statements in the mode of a people or leaders like the sage, the late sage chief Obafemi Awolowo, Mahatma Gandhi of India, and Winston Churchill of Britain, who made a turnaround of the political and social status of their respective nations. I want to believe that in the same vein, one can see that just ADEJUMO has performed wonders by making a turnaround of the mere Nigerian Industrial Tribunal to the position it is today.
The transformation that took place at the National Industrial Court under the leadership of my Lord Honorable Justice B. ADEJUMO is indeed phenomenal. It is the type that I doubt if the court will have achieved, but for the strong character, the vision, and the industry of my Lord.
While one cannot say that without him, these changes would not have taken place, it probably would have been a more painful exercise. It would not have been this seamless, and the outcome may not be this, grandiose. Because when you look at a court that could only boast of a duplex of 5-bedroom on Ojolomo Close, serving the entire labor industrial relations in the whole country, and what we now have, it set the pace for modernization of court system in Nigeria.
God has taken him to the peak of his career on the bench as the president of that court, and God has used him to achieve a lot, to transform the court physically and otherwise. God has given him a good report of his service on the bench.
There is no doubt that His Lordship Justice Babatunde Adeniro ADEJUMO has had a glorious era at the National Industrial Court of Nigeria. But his journey to success has not been smooth and easy. Indeed, his life has been filled with struggles and shared determination to succeed, even in the face of the most difficult of adversities. Born October 1st, 1954, in Ikaram, Akoko, a sleepy settlement in Akoko North, West Local Government of Ondo State, Justice ADEJUMO attended the Muslim primary school in his homeland, Ikaram, Akoko. But like most of his peers who proceeded to secondary school shortly after completing their primary school education, young Babatunde ADEJUMO did not have that privilege, as he had no one to finance his education. He had lost his father at a very tender age, and his mother's meager income could not see him through school. Not one to sit around and idle away his time, Babatunde ADEJUMO traveled to Lagos, where he became an apprentice shoemaker under the tutelage of this man, Mr. Samson Orimoguje, also a native of Ikaram, Akoko.
I didn't have the privilege of attending a secondary school. I am a complete self-made man. I was not born with silver spoon in my mouth. I learned shoemaking in Lagos between 1969 and 71 or so. And then after I came to in the year 1973, practiced my trade.
Bẹ́ẹ̀yẹn ó jẹ́ nìkan tó jẹ́ pé ó nice láti kékeré, ó dẹ̀ sharp. Ìgbà tí ó dẹ̀ máa tó bíi 4 years, mo fún ní certificate lọ́fẹ̀ẹ́ ni mi ò gbowó. Torí ó ti nice jù. Bó ṣe wà yẹn, ní kékeré ó jìyà o kì í ṣe pé kò jìyà o ó jẹ́ nìkan tó ń struggle ó jẹ́ ìyà o.
After serving his period of apprentice as a shoemaker for 4 years, Babatunde ADEJUMO plied his trade for a short while and later sought employment with his acquired skill with the Nigeria Presence Service and was posted to Abeokuta. His duty, of course, was to teach prison inmates the art of shoemaking.
I joined the prison service as a wonder shoemaker, and I was posted to Abeokuta. I was in the service for 3 years.
Alhaji Amzat Aliyu, a retired prison officer, was a colleague of Justice ADEJUMO at the Nigeria Prison Service, Abeokuta.
We came to know each other. That was around 1978 in the Nigerian prisons at Abeokuta. Now, how do we know ourselves? We got to know that I'm from Akoko. So he came to my office. He said, Egbon, he knew that I'm from Akoko. I said, yes. Where? I said, Ikare. He said, too, he's from Akoko. He was a warder. He's the one who is teaching these inmates how to mend shoe. He was a shoemaker.
While at the prison service, the desire to further his education kept burning in young Babatunde ADEJUMO. Even with his limited level of education, ADEJUMO's academic ability was demonstrated when he was sent on a training course by the prison service in Enugu. He emerged as the best student out of a total number of 123 candidates on the course. This feat ignited the desire in him to further his education.
In 1977, we were sent to a training school in Enugu, to Gweti Market, Enugu. There we underwent training for prison officers. I was the best student out of 133. I was the best student then. So when I came back to my duty post at Abeokuta, I decided to further my education because I realized I can still make it. So I tried and I was admitted into a Saturday Teachers Training College at Otago State. Because then they were looking for teachers, and it was a 3-year program, and we were paid to print. And at the end of the day, it was in that college that I sat from my GCE level in 1979, and I made the 6 papers I sat for, including maths and English.
In 1982, he sat for his GCE advanced level papers, passing all the 4 subjects he entered for in flying colours. There was no stopping him now. The ultimate was to acquire a university degree. And so in 1982, he applied to study law at one of Nigeria's foremost tertiary institutions, the University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. For a man who did not have the privilege of a formal secondary school education, to drive himself to such academic height was no mean feat.
I wanted to know what is in Ife because we were saying that Ife is hot. I want to see what is there. Eventually, I was admitted as a student at Ife in 1982. I left Ife in 85 after completing my 3-year program. And I went to the law school in 1985-86. Then there was only one law school in Nigeria, that is the one in Victoria Land, Lagos. It's a year course. I completed my course and I passed.
With a law degree in his kitty, the horizon was now clear for the journey to succeed in life. A journey that has seen him work as a private practitioner between 1986 to 1992, a parliamentarian in the old Ondo State House of Assembly, 1992 to 1993, as well as being appointed as Chief Magistrate in the Ikere Magistral District, Ondo State. Later, as a Deputy Chief Registrar at the Supreme Court of Nigeria in 1995, and culminated in his elevation as a judge in the Ondo State Judiciary in 1998, before his final call to duty as President of the National Industrial Court of Nigeria in 2003.
His career is a testimony to making the impossible possible. There are not too many examples, but his own case is even more dramatic because he rose from being an apprentice shoemaker to being the president of the National Industrial Court. And it's not ashamed to say that this is where I started from. But I've gone so far. So there are very few individuals who achieve such feats. And we hold him very dear in our hearts.
Unlike the proverbial prophet without honor in his homeland, Justice Babatunde ADEJUMO is indeed greatly appreciated by his friends, professional colleagues, associates, staff of the NICN, and all those who have had one reason or the other to relate with him in various capacities for the impactful relationship he has shared with them over the years.
There are a series of attributes that, combine together to make his lordship a very unique personality, a quintessential administrator, and a judicial icon. First, among the attributes I would like to mention is the fact that his lordship is very honest. He's highly reliable. He's dependable and extremely hardworking. He's a visionary, a very visionary leader. He's passionate, about National Industrial Court of Nigeria.
I met his lordship for the first time in 2003 when he became the president of the Industrial Court. And luckily, as the president of the Industrial Court, he was automatically an ex officio member of the Federal Judicial Service Commission as well as the National Judicial Council. So from then until I left in 2017, I worked very closely with his lordship. So I was one of the very fortunate persons to work with such people. And it molded me into being the public servant that I was. And any success that I recorded was because of people like him. I was very, very fortunate. Like I said, forthright to a fault, very honest, very down to earth, expresses himself without any fear.
I trust him. He's a very hard-working person, extremely polite, very hard-working.
He's a man of peace, man of patience. ADEJUMO uses his age, though I was his boss, but he uses his age to counsel me. And I have learned tremendously from his counsel.
One thing I must tell you, my Lord is very passionate about excellence, as you can see from his record at National Industrial Court. My Lord is very, very passionate about integrity. You can never find my Lord close to anything that is going to touch on his integrity. My Lord has passion for industry. If you are very hardworking, Honorable Justice ADEJUMO will naturally like you.
And has that extra quality of wanting to help people. I cannot remember many instances which are not known to him himself, but which people had come to me to ask me to help them to thank him for what he had done for them. Even though I didn't tell him all this, because I had known that he is very generous, very kind, very patriotic, and very humble. I think his humility and hard work, honesty, sincerity have brought him to this very height.
He has tried for me, not for me only, many people. This is my house here. It was the one who persuaded. I said, by the time I was praying to Almighty Allah, I don't need more than 3-bedroom flat in my life. He's the one who built this house, I'm telling you. Because there's somebody who bought a land for somebody, He is the person who built the house.
He's a hardworking man. Okay. He makes sure that he make everything possible to make sure that he achieves what he deserves to do.
His kinsmen in Ikaram Akoko are also not left out in the appreciation of their illustrious son for his immense contributions to the development of their community, a gesture that has touched many lives in several ways than one. His Royal Highness Oba Andrew Olamoyi Momodu Osona I, the Akala of Ikaram, is the traditional ruler of Ikaram Akoko.
He hasn't forgotten his root. He had, over the years, been an instrument for change, for positive change in the community. And one of the areas in which he carried out this change is in education. He had mentored many others in this community. The per capita royal population of Ikaram, I think it will be one of the top ones because of the mentorship and the example which they've seen.
He did a lot of things for these Muslim primary schools when they had problems with their classroom blocks. I could remember he involved the community members and they roofed the area. He's a God-sent man. He's even touching lives of people and he cares for people. As far as the women and the children are concerned, when it comes to education, he doesn't joke.
The problem the country is facing majorly today, that is employment. He helped Ikaram indigene in that area. You know, anybody that will help somebody to give employment has finished all help. Has helped me to know what it is to have a child earning salary. So out of my children now, that is the only one at work.
Besides the challenges and pressures associated with his duties, Justice ADEJUMO has come out in flying colours in the management of the home front. A consummate family man, Justice Babatunde ADEJUMO has bonded closely with his wife and children, showering love, affection and care on them, the same way he did with his relationship with his community and all sundry. Justice Mrs. ADEJUMO is Justice Babatunde ADEJUMO's wife.
And he's very, very disciplined. Much as he tries to lay down the law at home, he finds time to joke with the children and make them happy. You know, he's always having all these small family meetings where get together. And then he has this habit. He'll call you in the morning, he'll call you at night. He will speak with you. In between, during the day, he will call you. He will play catch up, what's happening, this, that. So he finds time. So everybody knows where he is, knows where you are, he knows your itinerary for that day, he knows where you are going. And that's fine. And if he says, oh, I think I want to come to Lagos, so I want to see my children, he's there. Or he can just barge into their school. I won't see my children for some time, I want to see them. And he'll spend quality time with them.
Ahmed ADEJUMO is the eldest son of Justice Babatunde ADEJUMO.
He's just a loving father to every one of the children. The first thing you pick up from my father, anybody that has spent any considerable time with him, is a disciplinarian. So I learned about hard work, I learned about discipline, I learned about being contented, I learned about how you shouldn't try to look at what other people are doing. You know, you should try to live within your means. I also learned how to be very prayerful.
But he's a very loving person. He's very kind. In short, he watches out for us. He sticks out his neck for us. He's a very deep family man. Work keeps him away, but I see how he tries to make time. He's always making time. Even sometimes I see the stress in his face, but it doesn't stop him. When he comes back from work, he expects all of us to come to the room, we talk. That is after we've spoken even before he goes to work. When we're not in the same state, immediately we're on holidays, he comes all the way. wherever we are, we have to meet. He will come, or he will tell all of us to come join him. So he makes efforts, even with the job and every other thing, he makes efforts. So yes, he's a family man.
After a meritorious service to his fatherland spanning over close to 2 decades at the National Industrial Court of Nigeria, and before that, several years as a parliamentarian, judicial officer at the Ondo State Judiciary, and administrator at the Supreme Court of Nigeria, His Lordship, Justice Babatunde Adeniro ADEJUMO, OFR, is set to bow out from service. There is no doubt that this erudite jurist has left a legacy that can best be equaled but not surpassed in Nigeria's judiciary in the discharge of his duties. And just as he had assured then Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Mohammed Wais, when he assumed leadership of the National Industrial Court of Nigeria, that he was going to turn the NICN from a dead end to a living entity, Justice ADEJUMO has exceeded the expectations of even the most ardent critic. For sure, the National Industrial Court of Nigeria, under the ADEJUMO years, has been transformed from not just a dead end to a living end, but a very healthy and vibrant one.
You have given your best to the public, and then you can retire, go back and rest, and stay with the family. Have, full time for them, unlike when you are in service.
Well, what has surprised me is that he's retiring. I thought he's still a young man. I was expecting him to spend another few years. But he has performed very well. He has built that court wonderfully, yes. And I wish him great success in retirement.
I know he still has a lot to offer. I really don't see him as going into retirement anyway. He's simply moving to a next phase. Even in his position, he will certainly be called upon. Even if not at the level of the court, at the level of the wider society. Because I still see him as having a lot to offer to the country anyway. It's only one kind of service came to an end. Another is certainly going to start. He becomes what in our parlance we say he's a statesman. In times of needs he will certainly be called upon. If not by the court, by the society at large.
Give a little time off, take a little time off for himself, reflect on what he's done. Write a memoir that would be very, very beneficial to the judiciary and to the nation as a whole. And to have more time for his, I'm not saying he didn't have time for his family, don't get me wrong, more time for his family and close ones and his friends. I'm sure everybody will be happy to see him outside the courtroom and devote his time a lot more to his own self. Let him live for himself for a change. Let him consider himself. Let the court rest. Let the judiciary rest.
I wish my Lord happy retirement and an even more engaging life after the bench. To the glory of God and for his own well-deserved reward of hard work and commitment to public service.
I believe if he continues like the man I know, he will have no problem with retirement.
You are retiring, but you are not tired. And I'm very, very positive that, His Lordship will still be available, to serve this great country in some other capacities. So I wish him good health, long life, and peace.
I wish him well. He's enjoyed. He has, first of all, he deserves his rest. I expect Justice ADEJUMO to take a breather, to rest, relax, get together his library, sit down, reflect, and those thoughts that are in his mind, those ideas that he has, those how you think the law should be, how you think we should progress in our democratic life, in our social life, how you think we can use law as an instrument of economic empowerment, instrument of social change. We can now begin to bring out these ideas and thoughts.
So I pray for long life for him. I pray for good health for him. Pray for sound mind. I pray that all the grace and the virtue that he requires to enjoy his retirement, God will provide for him.
May the good Lord continue to bless him with good health, and may the good Lord continue to prosper in his ways. I can only wish him the very best in retirement, and I truly, truly wish him every success in whatever he wants to do with his retirement period. But I must tell you that my Lord is not tired. I can tell you that.
We wish him a very happy retirement. We wish him a very long life, a very long, healthy life. And we pray that the blessing that he has been to other people, those blessings will be on his family. And we are looking forward to him coming home.
I came, I saw, and by the grace of God, I think I got